I thought it was gonna be a video of you guys making fun of me, and that was it.
We can still come back to it though.
Circle back around.
Restaurant Punk, what's up?
Restaurant Punk!
What's going on? What you got?
Okay, Yanni.
Hi, I know. Our replacement Yanni while he's in Greece.
But you guys coordinate.
Oh.
A little mess, like a.
It's very rare when I'm in jeans.
Grayish, bluish, yeah.
It's the blue episode.
So this is like,
okay.
I feel like
Okay.
you're in the hot seat
Am
for this
I?
episode.
Okay, wait. Challenge accepted.
I consulted 30 seconds prior to this.
Okay.
Bum, bum.
And I feel like we relate to this. Or we know you on the topic. And I just want to know.
Is it ice? Is it?
Yeah.
I just want to know, what is your thing with ice?
The ice machine
Okay,
episode.
and just to preface this, she has this like irrational fear of running out of ice during a shift and at Petunia. And I know that she's worked for you at YB and multiple other places and now at Petunia. And like there's just so many times, and when I would get text messages, like all week it would be fine. I'd get a text message the second Liz got there that something was wrong with the ice machine. And she would just absolutely panic about the amount of ice. And I just want to know, what bar back hurt you?
in your life.
Well,
Like, where did this stem from?
it didn't start before I started working at Shimon. Because I've always
Okay.
had plenty of ice. Ice was never a situation, right? At my
Right.
other job. But when I would serve the tables, I wanted them to have cold water. I mean, that was it.
Right.
Honestly, okay. I'm sure I annoyed the shit out of Yanni because one night I went on, I'm going to say at least 15 minutes about my obsession with wanting to keep water cold and trying, not that there wasn't, trying,
Wait,
trying to figure out how to best serve tables and keep, because my thing was, okay, so I'm going through this whole thing. I'm sure he was like off listening to something else. I'm like, yeah. So I fill a cup. I had my system. I explained to him, fill the cup with lots of ice. I pack with ice and then I put ice water on top of it. But then when the ice starts to melt, it drives me fucking crazy. I'm going on and on. He probably, muted it at that point.
Part of like the keeping the water cold scenario was there was a couple of those water jugs. They ended up in the freezer.
To keep it cold.
Like, to keep it cold, it was forgotten. And I had gone into the freezer and it was just like exploded, like glass everywhere with the ice. But I mean, this kind of brings up a good topic.
She's like, I want my ice water to be really cold. And table gets there, it's a frozen.
Okay, but I mean, this kind of like, brings up an interesting topic too about actually like having the appropriate, like ice maker. Like appropriate ice maker for like your business.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's so important. And like, we're lucky, especially at Petunia, to be right next to the Bellevue, who
Yeah, I'm familiar.
they hook us up with ice. Shout out to them, Dennis and the family. But like, I couldn't imagine working at a George's or even like a Shimon, because you're not, I don't know. Even if you have a small restaurant, like we have no more than 28 seats or 26 seats in our entire restaurant, like that little ice machine, which is supposed to produce a lot, doesn't do it sometimes. Like it always makes it, right? Like it always just makes it, but like a plethora of ice. And I remember a couple times in the summer when it would get so hot, it couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
That's an issue always in the summertime,
Yeah.
even for like your larger machines that run off of compressors that are like outside or external. In the summertime, you always have issues with like that kind of thing because your compressor's overheating. It's hot. The ice machine isn't producing enough ice. Even on the boardwalk, we have like 3 giant ice machines, and they're constantly making ice around the clock. And it's like trying to establish a system. And this is the kind of shit that you have to think about too. When you do different, when you're like running business, it's just being able to establish a system to manage the flow of ice to make sure that make sure that you have like enough ice for your day.
Because I completely agree. It's so important. It's just Liz's, like, I'm just picturing Liz and like the phone call or the text I would get, like, the ice machine or the picture or the ghost and the ice machine. I can tell
you, I'll give you like,
and then the one time it was completely flooded.
Yeah, well, the time I had to go to the Bellevue to get the ice because it turned off. It would. Yeah. And first thing I come in through the door, I open it up. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Right? It's like, this is exactly how I was. I'm like, oh my God. Right? So, because I don't want to go. I don't know the people at the Bellevue. So I felt awkward going over there. But I was like, oh my God, this is why this is happening. But this is the thing. Okay, with Shimon. Because what's funny about it there is because the way that, it's a 2-hour service, sometimes longer.
Yeah.
So if you give them ice in a cup and you keep refilling it, eventually, whatever you put in the cup, that ice is gone. So what you have in the pitcher needs to be cold. So if it's not cold, they're gonna be drinking warm water. It's different when they're there dining and it's a regular restaurant, right? They're not there for 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Right.
That was my issue. How do I keep the water cold? That's why I was always obsessed. And I would stash water all over the place.
But I think that it's something though. But
different freezers. I would.
But I mean, something as simple as an ice machine is something that I think can be like overlooked. Like I was just,
it's something to definitely invest in. Like I don't care what you think, and you think it's not important.
But
it's
I mean, I was
an
visiting
investment.
another owner at one of their newer locations that was not yet up and it's not yet up and established, and we were talking about, because I saw the ice machine, and I was like, "This is your ice machine for this place," and I was like, okay. So we were like talking about the ice machine, and I'm like, was talking about how, options that he had to help him mitigate.
So I would not be working there is what you're saying?
No, it's not that. But I mean, I was just looking at the size of the ice machine, and I'm kind of familiar with, like
and
a larger space that
an
needs
outdoor patio, a pool service.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And then that you really need, a larger, that would need something that would produce the amount of ice volume that you're going to need to be able to serve all of the different facets that you're trying to run, especially if you're trying to introduce different concepts or new ideas in it, where you might need ice, So it was just a matter of talking through some of those issues that could potentially come up, and how to, at the end of the night, when you have that kind of a place, make sure, all of your ice bins are full. So this way your ice machine can produce the ice that it needs, but come August, when it's hot as balls outside in the middle of the summertime,
absolutely,
that compressor is going to take a shit, and you're going to be looking for ice. So establishing your own collection of people that you can call, because there is other companies in our area that specifically handle ice business for restaurants. Like you have Sea Isle Ice, and then there's other different things that you can even utilize should you not have that at your disposal at the time. There's underutilized facilities that people don't even think about. There's fisheries that are producing ice, and docks and stuff that are producing ice for, their fish and stuff like that. So trying to come up with this catalog of different ways to mitigate damages as they arise is something that's really important, especially in a larger place with something as stupid sounding.
But especially around here, like you said, with a lot of the local fish shops, everywhere, seafood providers all around, they have to have ice on deck at all times.
And they're crazy too, the way that their ice machines are functioning, because it's they have rooms that are producing ice, and standard ice machine, the coils are inside, right, and the water flows over the coils, it cools, makes the ice, they heat up, the ice falls into the machine. Larger machines like that, they're actually suspended up into the ceiling, so the coils are rods that come down, and the water has a flow, and it flows around the coil, and then the ice will drop off. So in larger places like that, fisheries and things like that, it's just a giant, it's a walk-in thing when it's just mass amounts of ice,
That's a good tip though.
To make network, if they're not selling their ice and they just don't want to deal with doing the sale of selling
or even
ice.
You might not be able to get to that in that specific point in time.
Just be listen, I would just like to purchase from you. I'll buy my own bags. If you give me ice at this, whatever, I'll just come fill up a couple bags and whatever.
Because what happens, it's Saturday, you don't have any ice. Now you need ice from somewhere.
Sea Isle Ice is 3 hours behind, and you need it now.
There's other ways and other ideas and avenues that you can go down in order to be able to secure those kinds of things.
Wow. I thought it was going to be a video of you guys making fun of me, and that was it.
We can still come back to it, though.
Circle back around.
It was just I saw it, and I looked at Nick, and I'm like, I know this could be a topic of conversation just with your own irrational fear of it. It's not irrational, though. No. It is rational. But
some people are weird about their beverages in general being cold. They're not down with even soda that's kind of has barely as ice in it.
But I mean, it's about too, even if you are opening, let's say, a new restaurant, and depending on what it is exactly that you're doing, thinking about the quantity of ice that your ice machine can produce, and where in your restaurant that you're actually going to put your ice machine. Do I need an external compressor? Does it run on ambient air compressor that's built into the machine? So these are kinds of things that you need to think about when you're designing, your back of house layouts and formats in order to accommodate those kinds of things. Because let's say you're an ice cream parlor and you make smoothies and frozen drinks and blended shit, and now you need ice and you got lemonades and all that kind of stuff. Well, you're going to need something that's, whipping ass. With ice, and then you got a soda machine.
Whooping ass.
No, but really though, when you're like a high volume place, like you need some nice quantity that's going to actually produce.
Well, one thing that too with the smaller restaurants in Cara Group, they're BYOs, but they're BYOs. So in addition to the ice in the glass, you need ice for the buckets.
Right.
So that's where my head goes.
And it's not like you can just put like a little tiny bit of ice. And I've seen people in places in BYOBs that like when I get a bucket and there's that much ice, I'm like, this is doing nothing.
Exactly.
And I'm the same way. And I'm also like,
I'm guilty of doing that.
Yeah.
As a server too sometimes. Like your ice machine does it.
Listen.
Look, if your ice machine isn't keeping up, it's a busy night.
Well, you have to do what you...
Like throw in a few fucking ice cubes.
You have to do what you do, and then you add the little bit of water just to like make sure the bottle stays cold. But like, especially at Petunia, I often, because I know what you mean, like the ice melts in the pitcher. So the first pour, they get it. And then when you go back, every time I go to give water at Petunia and I go to make my rounds, I literally walk to the ice machine and add a scoop on top every time.
Yeah.
So they get ice every time because I'm an ice chewer. Like I love ice. So even at a restaurant, I'm annoying as hell, I'm aware. But like I love having ice in my cup. And there are people all the time, especially at BYOBs, that just love having cups and cups and cups of ice for their wine. Like that's just a thing.
I definitely think it's easy to underestimate the amount of ice that you'll actually need, especially if you're purchasing a new ice machine and you're not really sure.
And you don't know what your volume is going to be like, what the demand for ice is going to be like. Again, even down to like, okay, figuring out like, okay, to start, we're only going to do these 3 beverages. And then as you grow, you're going to add more things. And it was a waste to like downplay the machine that you got. It's such a hard thing, and I would just say over prepare.
But accordingly, because you don't want, if you're a small restaurant, you don't want to get a ice machine that's going to produce 4.
You could also start selling it to the people.
Oh God! Somebody needs it, right?
Get to the ice business.
Yeah.
But I've even gone into like larger places too, and like I've seen like their tail end of like their ice, and I'm like, oh, they're
No, I worked in a larger restaurant, and they had the big, like huge industrial ice machines, and it was in the summer and they were running out.
Yeah.
And they had to get ice brought in.
But I mean, again, that's, not taking into consideration, we live in a town that gets hot, in the summertime, June, July, and August, especially July and August, you're looking at 100+ days.
Right.
So when you're dealing with that kind of heat and you have external compressors that are operating your machines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
For like, I can tell you for a fact at certain points that ice machine isn't going to produce the volume that you need.
Right.
So being able to overestimate in those kinds of circumstances,
it doesn't matter if it's 100 or 80 degrees here, 70 degrees here, sun shining, every grill going, like your place is going to be hot.
Right.
Like even if it's not even 100 degrees and it gets there, but like even on a typical summer day, you have every grill going, it's hot as shit in there,
But again, that goes back into thinking about placement of where you're putting this kind of equipment when you're starting a new thing, especially machines that run off of ambient air, like the one that we have. I
didn't even think about that, it being in the kitchen. So I'm thinking about all the kitchens I've ever worked at, and they're nested as far away from the grill as possible, but within the same space.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I wouldn't even think about that. Yeah.
Interesting.
See, who knew ice was that important? I've been telling everyone this for years.
You have
been going on about it forever. But no, on some real shit though, ice is important.
Yes.
Get a good ice machine.
Get the right machine. Do the job that you needed to do.
Yes.
Plan your ice machine out. Don't forget about it.
Don't forget.
Keep your scoops out of the machine.
Yeah,
Never
handles
put your
up.
ice machine in the ice bin. Don't do it. Separate container.
And don't forget your water jugs in the freezer.
Yeah, don't forget those either.
Very important.
Yeah.
Don't put water in glass and then freeze it. It will break. And you will have to clean it up at like 2:00 in the morning when you thought everything was done and you were going home.
Meaning you, not me, because I was long gone.
Oh.
All right.
All right, Restaurant Punk, we're out.
I left I was trying to cool Dom Rosé in the freezer at work and left it there and exploded. My barback came in, my manager was like, you left that Dom Rosé in the freezer from like the other shift. I'm like, I did? He's like, yeah, it exploded. It's like, Dom, he showed me a picture. Just champagne, like all over the place, frozen.
What you got? What do you want?